So you're doing all the right steps. You're doing all the right things, but nothing is showing up. Nothing is manifesting. Nothing is materializing. Here's the real reason why it's not working and how you can flip it today. My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, PhD and ordained minister of metaphysical sciences, the study of spirituality. I am also the author of The Enlightened Shadow and Spiritual, Not Religious, which is available on Amazon and Audible. So, why aren't you manifesting the things that you desire? What's the one thing that's really holding you back? Well, for many of us, because we are doing the things, actually, in many cases, you doing the things is actually the thing that is preventing you from materializing your desire. What I'm talking about is really understanding one of the biggest blocks when it comes to manifestation, and that is resistance masked as action. You see, when we think about manifestation, there was a time where we thought manifestation was all about visualization. It was all about just simply imagining that thing. It was about feeling you having it, which are all valid and very important aspects of manifestation. But at the time, we really wasn't dialed into how important action was. So now, even when I speak on manifestation, I really emphasize the importance of action, the importance of using your body, movement, because we're in a physical realm of existence. So therefore, we have to put into practice that attribute, that skill, that ability to actually move our bodies, to actually align and get things done in order for us to materialize the thing that you desire. But sometimes doing and doing too much can often be the cause of the resistance of you materializing that thing. So we really want to take a deep look into our action. And what are we actually putting our energy toward when it comes to materializing the thing that we want, and why and how this action is actually resistance, creating the resistance. You see, it's important to recognize things like, when it comes to money, how, you may want to materialize money. You may even have a clear number as to what you need to cover all your bills, expenses, your desires. You may want to travel the world. You may just want to sit back and do nothing, right? So you want to create money. Well, by doing so, some people will start a business, right? Start a side hustle. And then after a month or two, because the money may not be coming in, they decide, you know what, I'm going to do another business. Or a friend or family member may say, hey, I stumbled across this business. Maybe you should try this out. So then you jump to another business. So you see, you are constantly moving, busy, hustling, but nothing is happening, right? So you're having like multiple business ideas, multiple things and hustles going on. You're an entrepreneur, you're a model, you're a photographer, you're this and you're that. And yet there's no money coming in. So you see where I'm going. Instead of focusing on the multitude of different things, right, just for money, focus on one thing for money. Is way more effective because your energy is not spread thin. It's not dispersed out through all these multiple things that really may not have anything to do with your passion, your talent, or your gifts. You just heard it was an easy hustle and an easy way to make money. You just saw the potential of it, but that doesn't mean that potential is for you. Let's talk about love. You want to find your perfect partner, your perfect mate. And so you're out there dating. Every other day, you got a date with a different person. You're on all the dating apps. You're, doing the speed dating or this kind of dating and that kind of dating, and you're out there. Instead of focusing on dating one person. That one person I'm talking about is yourself. Essentially aligning yourself with the understanding, with the desire, with the intention, the visualization, the understanding of what it is you wish to experience with a person. Okay. So it's really about finding how to focus your energy on a particular thing that is going to create the most benefit, create the best outcome. You see? So you have to break down why, you know, alignment works and it matters more than just simply effort, because you can be doing all the things and technically they can be all the right things. They can be all the things that you heard somebody do. You heard one person say, investing was my way of making millions. Real estate was my way of making millions. Starting a business was my way of making millions. But if you're doing all three or five or six or seven of those things, then guess what? You're not being focused in on the one. Those people usually focus in on one, especially in the beginning. Okay. When they amassed all of the money, then they were able to spread that out and create a multitude of different streams of income. But initially, it starts with one. Okay. That one creates a space where you can relax, you have the lifestyle that you want, and then you can take whatever is excess and you can put it towards something else. You see, love. Instead of dating a bunch of people and having your energy, your intention, your focus dispersed throughout the world, and you analyzing, critiquing, and being very judgmental and shallow about who you're dating and asking certain questions without giving the proper context of learning who they are and their background and really connecting even more deeply with yourself and what it is that you desire, but you're jumping from one person to the other. Even if it's just a general date, you're just putting your energy on, okay, this person is this, and this person looks this way, and this person does this job, and this person lives there, and this person has this many kids, and this person just got out of a marriage or a serious relationship. And you're just busy, right? Dealing with all those things, questioning, feeling. This person is you're very attracted to this person. You're drawn to this person. So you have the feelings with this person, but this person fits all the right criteria when it comes to whatever your list is, right? So all this busyness going, and you fail to focus on the most important person, which is yourself, which is what it is that you wish to have with another person, creating that with yourself. And thus that is actually going to send out a frequency, a vibration to actually attract the person that matches the frequency that you are giving to yourself, thus putting out, right? So you have to recognize that busy does not equate to productive. I see it all the time where people are highly, highly busy, but yet they get nothing done. They have nothing to show for all of the running around and movement that they are doing. They're always moving around. They're always doing all these things. And then at the end of the year, you look at them like, hey, how'd that thing go that you was doing? Oh, I stopped doing that and now I did something else. Okay, how's that going? Oh, I stopped doing that and now I'm doing something else. Okay. Oh, how that person you was dating, how'd that go? Well, something just wasn't right. And so we didn't hit it off, right? Or I like that person, but they didn't vibe with me. Well, that's probably because you didn't do the inner work to actually make sure you were in a space where you actually aligned, right, with them, or vice versa. So you have to be mindful that you need to be really intentional about what it is you wish to desire, right? What it is you wish to create, what it is you wish to materialize. So you have to focus on really understanding that you need to check, right? The understanding that There's a difference between, you acting from a place of belief versus acting from a place of doubt. Understanding that belief is very focused, whereas doubt, when you think about somebody who's doubtful, somebody who's insecure, they're all over the place, right? Say, for example, if we have to, I'm just going off the top of my head, if you had to do a presentation, the person who is focused on the presentation, they prepare, they clear, they know exactly what they're going to talk about. They're going to go in with a belief, with a comfortability of knowing that they're going to do well. They're going to go in there. They're going to pick their spot. They're going to stand wherever they want to stand. They're going to go through and say everything clearly, concisely, accurately. They may not even appear to be nervous at all. They're going to come in there completely clear, intentional, focused. But the person who is doubtful and they come in to do their presentation, right? They're going to be scattered all over the place. Ums and ums all over the place, running around, looking all over the place, reading various pieces of paper, index cards, what have you, jumping from one idea to the next without it being in order. They're going to be nervous in the beginning. Before they start, they're going to be nervous during the presentation and probably even nervous after because they're concerned about what their grade is. But the person who came in with the belief of understanding as to what it is that they, want, desire, the clarity of their intention and what it is they're going to create, right? And they were focused. It doesn't matter afterwards. Once they're done, if anything, as somebody who speaks, if anything, after I do a lecture, a speech, a seminar, I am more hyped up. I am more excited. I'm not so concerned about what other people thought of my presentation. I am just pumped up and ready to do the next one because I made sure that my presentation, my, message was clear, was accurate, was intentional, had purpose behind it. You see? So you want to make sure that you are focused. Focus means you believe. When you believe, that means that you align yourself properly with the manifestation, the materialization of that desire being created. You see? So you really want to understand the importance of how to realign yourself. Okay? Realign yourself with the things that you want. Focus on a particular objective. I like to call them spiritual blinders, where you have a clear objective as to what you want to do. I talked about the example of money. Well, okay, there is infinite ways to make money. So let's get focused though. What is the lane that we're going to get into, that we're going to focus on in order to make money? Are you going to lean into your talents, which you should? You should lean into your passions. You should lean into your interests, because that's going to be more sustainable. All right. And that if you veer off a little bit, it's still going to be in the same lane of your talents, your passions, your curiosities. So therefore, you won't just go jumping off the rails, jumping off out of that lane into a whole nother topic and idea that has nothing to do with you. So you really want to have spiritual blinders on. You really want to be clear as to who you are, consciousness. And if you're not clear, that's okay. We're all still figuring out life, right? We're all still figuring out ourselves. But you really want to be understanding of, well, I like doing this. I love doing this. I'm good at doing this. Maybe even people tell me I am amazing at doing this. So whatever those categories are, those are your lanes that you can, go in, begin, and to stay focused. Stay focused on those. Don't jump from one thing to the next. Give yourself a good long time frame, 2 years, 5 years of consistent and sustainable action of creating that result through, right, that lane, through that means. So put on your spiritual blinders, focus on a particular objective by making sure that you are in a certain lane and that you continue to move that way. So if you want to make money, then you sell a product, right? Some people are like, well, I want to make money. So then they go on social media and just start making like, I'm going to make money on social media. Well, that's not specific enough, right? It's too general. Make money doing what? If you really want to focus on making money, then focus on having a product to sell. And then you can go on all those platforms and do whatever you can promoting, selling that product, right? Some people say, I want to make a brand, right? And though those two things sound the same, they're really not. So you can make a brand, but still not be selling anything yet, right? You just want to create an environment where you're known, you're recognized, you're building something rather than just focus on the initial sell that you want right now. So branding is more about getting attention, having followers, having people constantly looking at you, listening to you, watching you, right? That takes a little bit more patience because most times people are establishing a brand to make money. 99% of the time, people want to establish a brand to make money. But establishing a brand is about establishing a relationship, a relationship, a somewhat of a rapport, right? A understanding of recognition and recognizing that, hey, this person has a reputation. This person has been doing this for a long time. So it builds a sense of trust. And so when they see you, they trust you. That essentially is what a brand is. Recognition, understanding what the message is, and trusting, right? That message, that quality of the person, liking the person. So though they can be looked at as a means of making money, the strategy is a little bit different. If you want money right now, then get a product, sell that product, sell a product that people want. They may not even know you. They may not even care to know you. They just want that product because they want the result. If you want to create a brand, then hey, all right, you have to get in people's faces. You have to show up, be consistent, continue to give value, continue to be around, to be in their face, to be in their face in a way where they are entertained, they value you. And then over the course of time, as you amass a bunch of people who like you and follow you, then you can get into selling a product, creating something that they find valuable and that they want to purchase from you because you've established a brand and you established a relationship. You see? So, for example, the one thing that I learned as far as my personal experience when it comes to dating and relationships is there was a point where I was really into the dating scene and I was really looking to connect with my person. And I was dating a lot and I had like all of us, we have a criteria. We have things that we desire. We think that we look for, and I'm big into fitness. I'm big into health. My diet is a vegan diet. I'm not into smoking. I'm not into drinking. And I was dating somebody who they ate meat. So they weren't vegan, obviously, and they smoked. But the conflict was I truly enjoyed their presence. And she made me laugh, right? So she made me feel really good. We were extremely attracted to one another. And there was a definite attraction. There was a vibe there, but I knew that vibe was going to be short-lived because of the major differences that we had. As far as she was concerned, it wasn't a big deal. As far as I was concerned, they were, right? And so it got to the point where those things were palpable as far as issues. Now, of course, she wasn't willing to budge, right? She wasn't interested in becoming a vegan. She was definitely not interested in stopping to smoke. So we went our separate ways. And eventually, and it didn't take long, just a matter of a couple of days, actually, what I decided to do was no longer date. What I decided to do was completely focus on being the person that I'm seeking. What I decided to do was to actually create the ideal relationship that I want from another person within myself. Okay. And then as soon as I did that and I freed myself from this yearning, this desperate search for my person, looking to date and da 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 da, what I did was I got focused. Okay. And I said, all right, if I am going to date, I need to find that community. I need to find out where that person will be based on the criteria that I have, meaning that I know they are aligned with who I am. You see? So went to a vegan environment, a vegan community, and literally found that person. Okay. Greatest relationship I've ever had. So it was just that simple, getting really clear, getting really focused, not being busy and all over the place, but again, having that those spiritual blinders up and really allowing yourself to just say, listen, this is what I desire. This is what I have. This is the tools that I have available to me. This is the direction that's simplest for me to go to, right? Not necessarily easiest, but simple. It's direct. This is what I'm good at. This is what's important to me. This is what I like. These are my talents. This is the way. Once you recognize that and you focus on that, you're no longer scattered and all over the place. You're no longer wasting energy. If anything, the energy that you wasted by being all over the place is, in fact, endurance, right? Because now you have one single thing to put all of that wasted energy that you were putting out there. You can now take all of that energy and focus it on the one thing, which is going to compound and expedite the process of you materializing that desire. So the major block that you're having is not focusing. Not only not focusing on the desire, which is very important, but not focusing on how you get to actually create that desire. So what I want you to do is I want you to comment below with one desire that you've been waiting for, okay? And declare it as done. Let's shift together. So be mindful about, okay, what is this desire that I want? Be as clear as possible, right? You don't have to be detailed when it comes to leaving a comment, but I want you to really think about it for yourself. Get clear about it. Is it money? Is it creating a successful business? Is it a relationship? Right? What is that? And then think about what's the most important, most effective way of creating that for you. Okay? Not some generic cookie cutter method, but for you. What are your talents? What are your desires? What are the things that you find that are very important? And then use those as the means by which you actually create that thing. All right? Let's manifest our dreams. Let's create the life that we want, because that's why you are here. That's what you're here to do. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, get access to this free ebook, The Power Within, and so much more. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.